You said recently, one of the things that you've said about black holes, one of the many things you said, that inside the black hole at the centre of the Milky Way galaxy is the end of time. I didn't understand what that meant. What does that mean?
So that's actually the pure Einstein's theory description. It's remarkable. We're talking about a theory from 1915 that Einstein published. And the description of a black hole, so a star that completely collapses, is it distorts space and time so much that you can actually think of them as swapping roles. And so what we think of, if you imagine in the mind's eye a big, huge star collapsing. By the way, the one at the centre of the galaxy, that thing is 4 million times the mass of our sun. So it's a big thing. But so warped is space and time that you think of everything collapsing to a point. So you'd imagine that this thing, whatever it is, some infinitely dense point that this thing's collapsed to. But actually space and time have flipped roles in a very real sense. And so that point becomes a moment in time. And it's in fact the end of time. So it's a remarkable idea that when we see these things, we have a photograph of the black hole at the centre of the Milky Way. And it's worth looking at it because when you're looking at it, according to Einstein's theory that predicted them, you are looking at the end of time in space.
Let me ask you this briefly. Well, briefly is a silly thing to say, but nonetheless, what would Einstein say if he could see what we see now in relation to black holes?
He would have been absolutely delighted because to the end of his life, he tried to work on the fancy name is a quantum theory of gravity. Let's call it a theory of everything, right? Tried to unify everything together into a single picture. And only in the last few years, and I'm talking really 2019, 2020, papers in the last few years, we're beginning to glimpse that theory by studying these objects that his theory predicted. So it's 70 years or so after he died in 1955. But finally, I think we are beginning to glimpse what such a theory may look like.